That's cool. I'm going to join that.
Yep.
Okay, gentlemen. Good evening. I'd like to call the Alton Board of Selectmen's meeting, August 10th, 2020, 6 p.m. to order. Until further notice, to keep our members and staff safe and to comply with RSA 91-A, the state of emergency and governor's orders, restrictions on public gatherings, the town of Alton is moving from the in-person meeting to a remote audio participation meeting. To remotely attend the meeting, audio only, visit our website, www.alton.nh.gov, for instructions or telephone the Selectmen's office, 603-875-2113 or 603-875-0229. There continues to be no public input at this time. Please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Mr. Whitney to lead us tonight.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I need approval of the agenda. I have one amendment to new business, number 2, Selectmen's meetings. I give a motion to, second to approve my motion.
Second.
Discussion. All aboard, Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth, yes. Vote is in the affirmative. Announcements, a band concert will be held on Friday, August 14th on the Water Bandstand. The Old Home Day Car Show event will be held on Sunday, August 16th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the downtown area. This time I have no...
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
The chicken barbecue will be the 15th on the signs.
Okay. The Alton Firemen's Association.
Fighting back, yes.
Commission of Public Comments, questions, concerns. I do not have anything in front of me tonight. Move on to our appointment with Jim Round, encroachment in New Hampshire Route 11. We have Mr. Round on the phone.
That's the number, but it's not.
He's not here.
Okay, at this time then, we'll move off from our appointment, and you'll let us know if Mr. Round comes in. Okay, thanks, Sean. Move on to new business, Highway Department 550 dump truck bid award. Mr. Roberts on the phone. Good evening, Mr. Roberts.
Yes, sir. How are you today?
Wonderful. And yourself?
Good, thank you.
Oh,
So
we have
you...
you up. Oh, go ahead.
So what you're seeing before you is we did go back out to bid, did receive several bids. We'd like to award the bid to Tri-City Dodge in the amount of $58,766 and also get the 7-year warranty, which is basically the powertrain and everything, for $3,265 for a total of $62,031. I'm sorry, $62,031.
How many miles you put on the trucks a year?
Geez, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. We're looking at, I think the one we have is 10 years old. It's got about 70,000 on it. So that's why we were going for the 7-year warranty rather than the 5.
So, Ken, my first question to you is the regular warranty is 3-year, 36,000 bumper to bumper?
Yes. Yep, I think that's what I have.
My next question to you would be, why not wait until the 3rd year and cost the town a little bit more money for the extended warranty, but you're not paying for the first 3 years?
I have no problem in that, sir.
Because my only problem with them, and looking into it and talking to a few of the finance managers at the dealerships, when you do that 7-year, you're paying for 3 years, which you're already covered.
Right.
So if you waited to your 2nd year and bought an extended warranty and asked for the additional 5 years, it costs you a little more, but at least you're not paying as much as you would for that 7 year. So I'm led to believe, I didn't know if you might want to check that out for us.
I can have Warren look into it, yes.
Because I have no problem with that, and we could set the money aside now with the vote, but if we could save some money, that would be great, I think. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
Yeah, good idea.
Hey, gentlemen, I'll look for a motion to that. Make a motion to award the truck bid for the Dodge, for the Highway Department, the Tri-City Dodge, in the amount of $58,766, and also set aside $3,265 for a 7-year warranty after Mr. Robertson Warren look into possibly not buying it until the end of the second year.
Second.
Motion is made by Reuben Wentworth to award the bid to Tri-City Dodge, second by Mr. McDonald. Any discussion? Aaron?
Yes. So what are we voting on?
Voting on awarding the bid,
62,031.
62,031.
Any possible warranty change?
Warranty change, yes. Mr. Roberts would only expend the money that is needed for a warranty, I'm sure. But this way here, it sets the money aside to purchase the warranty at the end of the second year. At least that's the way my motion reads.
You purchased one at new, Bob, you're paying for 2 warranties.
I understand, but the motion's a little, so you're talking about a 2-year, you're gonna wait to.
There's a 3-year bumper to bumper as it is.
That's right.
Yeah, but at the end of 2 years, you get in that third year, you can buy that warranty, but at the end of the second year is when the town should be looking at buying that additional 5 years warranty, the 7 years. Okay, that's what I'm asking. Does that sound fine with you, Mr. Roberts?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you understood my motion the way it was read?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? I'll poll the board. Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. LaRochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Wentworth, yes. Votes in the affirmative. Thank you, Mr. Roberts. And I
Thank
guess
you,
we'll
sir.
be getting back to you during the TA's report.
Yes, sir.
You shaking my head? Yes. All right, gentlemen, next on the agenda, number 2, Selectmen's meeting. I've been out for the last 2 weeks waiting for a test to come back, which came back negative, so I'm glad to be back with you. But I watched the last 2 meetings, listened to them, didn't participate with you. You guys are right out of here. The agendas weren't that big. They haven't been that big. So I'm wondering if you consider the idea of moving to every 2 weeks, like we had before. And then every other week, where we're coming into budget season, the second Monday and the fourth Monday will allow for workshops only on the budget. No agenda items other than department heads coming in with presenting their budgets, unless it's an emergency.
So initially, we'd have first and third Mondays again, but then when budget season hits, the second and fourth will be workshops on the budget.
Right. And that way there, we don't have to worry trying to schedule everybody in. Right. During the week, who can make budget meetings, who can't, because everyone's been making Monday nights meetings.
Right.
We could have our departments and get them done Monday nights.
Makes sense.
How you guys felt about that, but the agenda's all,
That's
since
right.
this thing has broken out, it's been cut short.
Yeah.
Not that I want a long meeting, but budget season too, that way that we don't interrupt our weeks.
And it gets hectic. Budget season's a hectic.
So it will be a meeting next week on the 17th.
Let me ask you something, do we have a budget that we can bring in next week?
We probably have a bunch of little ones we could get for you. They're not all in yet. I mean, it's only August 10th, but.
Little ones we can zero out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this?
I think it's a great idea. For some of the budgets won't be here until later in the fall, like
So we do 4 or 5 meetings a week.
insurance.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, that by this way here, department heads will know that budgets are gonna be on Monday night. We know it's gonna be, that way then we have to all look at a calendar and say, who can make it, who can't make it.
Yeah.
We're not sitting here for a half hour trying to figure out how we're gonna set up budget.
We could take care of that in the office.
Yeah.
So we actually
Monday?
The 17th is the third Monday, so that'd be our normal meeting.
Right.
so do you want to do the 17th as a workshop? Is that what you were saying?
No, 17th would be considered a regular selectmen's meeting.
Okay.
And then the 24th would be considered a workshop.
We got the 24th and the 31st this month as well.
That's the fifth Monday, which we could, if you gentlemen wanted to, but normally the fifth Mondays we don't meet. That's up to you guys.
I recommend you meet.
Whatever's going on.
Sure you do.
The only thing is that, wouldn't plan on anything on the 20th of August, right? There wouldn't be anything on the 20th of August?
24th?
You said the 24th, yes. I'm only saying that because that's gonna be the first ZAC meeting.
20th would be a selectmen's meeting, that's regular Monday,
You
right?
guys haven't had them yet?
First and third meeting, what we're gonna go to is first and third for regular selectmen's meeting.
So the 24th would not be a regular selectmen's meeting.
No, it wouldn't be, it would have been a workshop.
So we'll make sure you make that meeting.
So he was saying the 20th, though, that's a Thursday.
24th,
The 20th is a Thursday.
right. 24th would be a workshop.
Right, that's fine. I was just making sure.
Right, the 31st would be a workshop. Okay, because Labor Day, that Monday is what, the 7th?
Yep.
We won't have a meeting that day.
Right.
So anything you have, you should be, what we have should be on a Tuesday.
So the 24th and the 31st will be two workshops. You
Okay.
guys can get a lot
Got a
done.
lot done.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't need a vote on that, the consensus is fine with that, correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Mr. Reynolds is here.
Mr. Rounds is on the phone, so I'd like to go back to our appointments. Good evening, Mr. Rounds on the phone. Good evening, Mr. Rounds. You request an appointment with the Board of Selectmen on encroachments, New Hampshire Route 11.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I am Jim Round. I have a house at 159 Mount Major. I want to thank you all for allowing me to discuss this stuff to you or bring this to your attention. I informally represent about 27 homeowners on the Mount Major Spring Street area. I've been a homeowner there for about 17 years, and I am in the process of building a new house there. I'm sure many of you have driven by and wondered what all that construction was. You might be aware that we received a letter, those of us in that neighborhood, from the DOT this summer, informing us that they will be charging us for permission to utilize what they're claiming is their exclusive right-of-way, basically charging us to walk down a flight of steps to access property, deeded property, which I own at the waterfront. Amongst the 27 of us, every situation we found is kind of unique. Not everybody has a deed. Some people have houses actually on that right-of-way. Some people have just a dock, et cetera. Every situation is unique. But many of them have been paying to the town of Alton taxes for many, many years. And there seems to be a bit of confusion as to who owns portions of these properties. Some people have been paying taxes to the town for land at the waterfront, which the DOT claims is state property. This is a very uncomfortable position, and it's only been God's grace that we haven't had an accident down there, and then all the lawyers get involved and point fingers at who's going to pay a bill. That's just a very bad situation. Some of the homes across the tracks, or on the other side of Route 11, were constructed before Route 11 was even a consideration. My previous house, which has just recently been torn down, being one of them. I'm led to believe that my house was built around 1915. And I have a set of masonry stairs across the street, which probably were built around that time also. It's not very often that any of these houses have actual masonry stairs going down. But I don't have any evidence that the DOT was concerned, who cut through that right of way to go swimming back in, when was it, 1940, when that highway was built. But now, with the passage of time, and I guess the value of waterfront property has gone up, the DOT seems to be very interested in the value of this property and how they can get some profit off of it, I guess. The biggest thing that we're concerned about on this impact of the DOT situation is the value of our home. I have a house being built across the street, and it's no secret that the market value of this house is largely based on having free and clear title to the waterfront property across the street. And once the DOT enforces a lease option on this right of way, we can be paying, and they haven't told us yet, but they have told us they're gonna create a lease. We could be paying a few dollars to thousands of dollars every year. We don't know. I find this very difficult to comprehend. It's almost like they haven't thought out what the situation is. All I know is that without a clear and free title to my waterfront, all of us for our waterfront, we are at a severe financial loss. My life savings, my retirement are wrapped up in this house, and you can be sure if I knew this was coming down the pipe, that I would not be building a new house there right now. I'm at the point now where construction is stopped, and I got to decide if I'm just going to put the shell up for sale. This is just too much, because I've since received a letter from the DOT saying that they're going to review my house and my parking at my house. So they've added that they're not just going to do the waterfront side; they're doing both sides of the highway. And this is going to have severe implications for residential and businesses, and it just goes on. And I find this terrifying, and I think I just need to get out while I can. But I'm going to see where the DOT points next. Many of us have tried to contact the DOT, but received really minimal response. We don't know who's driving this campaign, if you want to call it, or what reasoning is behind it. The terms of the lease, as I mentioned, have not been disclosed to us. We don't know if the DOT intends to reimburse us for the loss of value of our houses. I can take a guess on what their answer is going to be on that. Their letters initially appear to have been sent to selective residents involved with the waterfront, but I received notice that they intend to do a similar review for my house across the street. And this is just something I don't want to get involved in, and I think it's going to scare a lot of people away. But more importantly, it's going to severely drop the market value of these houses by hundreds of thousands, I think. We have to get a market value here, get some realtors involved, but we'll see what settles out of that. This is just a very unfortunate situation conceived by the DOT. Many people in the area I know and I spoke with have already sought legal counsel, and I can just imagine that the only certainty here is that it's going to be an expensive argument for everybody concerned. This is not something that's just going to slide under the door. This is major. And like I said, I'm very concerned about this. I've pretty much stopped construction on my house, and I'm just very upset, and I have several neighbors that are very upset here. Enough so that we have 27 people that have gotten together for a meeting on this, and we're going to see where that group goes. I just want to make sure that the board is aware of what the DOT is doing to both sides of the highway, and the negative impact it's going to have on that whole side of town, that whole Route 11. I know that my old house was 1 foot when it was checked out by the civil engineers. The first foot of the living room of my house was on DOT property, and that allows the DOT to do whatever they want, and they've made it clear they're going to do whatever they want. And I just want to make sure that we want to make sure that the town is aware of what's happening on this side of the water. And that pretty much wraps up what I have to say here. I certainly hope I have a sympathetic ear, and I intend to maintain an open channel of communication with the board. And on behalf of our 27 members, I want to thank you for your time and consideration.
Mr. Round, have you contacted the governor and the governor's council?
I have not. One of the problems that we found is so far, we only have 2 of the property owners involved. Of the 27 of us, only 2 of us no, not me, only 2 people are actual residents. And until I can get residency up there, I am not fairly sure I'm going to get near of anybody on the state side until we can prove that we're residents.
Well, I would think with the 27 of you, you would all get together, get a petition, send it to the governor's office along with the governor's council, and tell them what you're facing against. This has been ongoing for the last 2 years.
Oh, more than that.
That I'm aware of. There's other ones are saying it's been longer than that, but I know in the last 2 years, that's when most everybody got notified. It's just like my store, my parking lot, half of it is in the state right away.
Yeah, I can imagine, yes.
Years ago, you owned to the center of the yellow line, but the state had the right of way through the town with the right of way of certain widths. And unfortunately, I believe, my understanding of it is, in talking to the DOT on a couple of occasions, one of the reasons they're doing this is to let folks know if they ever had to do those bankings on the Route 11 side, that they have the right to come in and redo those bankings without really notifying you folks. And that's their property, because if it was your property, they wouldn't be able to just come in, they'd have to do an eminent domain. But my understanding, what they're doing is establishing their boundaries of their right of way, and they're letting you folks know, but yet again,
Something's in
the way I
works.
look at it, they're working with you to set up some type of easement so you can pass and repass. But I understand your frustration, because when it comes to the state government, we faced it this year with the rumble strips.
Boy, did we ever.
Well, same as
So,
in their own writing room, and they're saying 25-foot right of way up to almost Sandy Point, and then it goes to 33.
so I do sympathize with you, I understand. I wish you well on this, but I would suggest that the 27 of you sign a letter of a petition to the governor and the governor's council, and do not let up until you get a letter back from the governor's council.
Oh, it's unfortunately come to the point, even with the DOT, they don't respond to me apparently unless I send it registered mail. It's sad because I'm trying hard to not be confrontational about it, but I get little to no information back. And when they tell me they're going to similarly review my house across the street, it's scary. And they did not make mention of why they're doing this. They didn't say they're doing it for profit or for safety or for future growth, nothing. It's just that it's their land and you're going to lease it from us. That's pretty much all we've been told.
They've got something in the works coming up, more than likely.
In all honesty, if they approached us differently, had an open meeting with people or sent a nice letter out, but instead they've terrorized the whole street of people here, really.
Have you gone up and looked up the right of way? The Belknap?
I've been told it's 50 feet, but I'm going by a picture that they have a sketch of my property, and they drew a line and they say, this is DOT property and this is yours. But when I match that up to what I see in the town maps and the square feet I'm paying for in taxes, that doesn't make sense. I've been paying taxes on what the state claims is their property, and that's scary.
I'm just saying that sometimes in the right-of-ways, where your house is there, before that right-of-way went in, you might have writing in that right-of-way that gives you the right to use that without them having anything to say about it. Could be written right in the right-of-way.
Yeah, on the perhaps for the house, I haven't looked at that yet. But the deed I have for my waterfront, and indeed for most of us, is a quitclaim deed, and that's the DOT doesn't even want to talk about that. Quitclaim deed really isn't worth the paper it's written on, and that quitclaim deed only goes back for about 25, 30 years or so.
You mentioned the town maps. Your tax cards should be accurate. Never use the town maps as an accurate pinpoint.
Right.
And that's, even our attorney has said that to us in the past, years ago when I was selectman. They're used for reference only and a guide only, but not to be 100% accurate on town maps.
Yeah, I think one of the next steps I'll be doing, and I'm gonna recommend to others there, is that, they get some surveyors out there and, see if we can determine exactly where the line is.
Okay, well, that'd be great, and I wish you the best of luck at all, and we will keep an eye out and see what's going on.
Great,
Gentlemen,
thank you for your time.
welcome. Do you gentlemen have anything you'd like to say, Mr. Brown? Okay,
No,
thank you,
know what,
sir. Have a great,
Thank you for your time.
no, thank you. Have a great rest of the summer.
Bye now.
Okay. So we have nothing for old business. Selectmen's reports. Mr. Holt. Mr. Rochelle.
You pretty much summed it up what I was gonna say before, which was already on the agenda, the announcements. Water ban this Friday.
Mr. Whitman.
Old Home Week Committee has not met since our last meeting here. We're meeting tomorrow night. It's our last meeting before the car show. It could have been Old Home Weekend, but we were under the impression there wasn't going to be a chicken barbecue. So it's the Old Home Day car show.
Mr. Donovan. Mr. Wentworth, I have nothing either. So at that point there, I'll turn it over to the town administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome.
The first item I'd like to report on would be the 2009 International 10-wheel dump truck, and I'd like to ask to allow the highway manager to attend remotely so that he can tell you what happened on the Municipid site. Would you have a copy at your seat?
Yeah. Mr. Roberts, are you back with us?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
You have the floor, sir.
Okay, and this was greatly due to Pat O'Brien from the fire department. And as you can see, he was the key person on this. He did put it down. We were offered $4,000 from International for this. The bid ended at $10,300. This is a gentleman from Pennsylvania. We would like the permission from the Board of Selectmen to sell the truck to Mr. Tibbins.
And he'll be picking it up and having it shipped, or we have nothing to do with that, correct?
No, the way the sequence is going to go, there's going to be a certified check here. It will go up to the finance officer. It will be cashed, and once it's cashed, we will give Mr. Tibbins permission to figure out transport. He's actually from Pennsylvania, and they're going to figure out transport to pick up the vehicle and take it from here.
That includes everything that was on the truck, the plow and headgear and everything, or just the truck and dump?
Just the truck. We have the sander, which is going to go on the new 10-wheeler, and we still have an extra head plow and wing that's staying here as well.
The gentleman got a motion to Mr. Roberts is asking for.
I'd like to make a motion to sell the truck to Mr. Tibbins for $10,300.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Whitman to sell the 10-wheel plow truck, 2009 International, to Mr. Tibbins, second by Mr. McDonald. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to remind the board, this is the second vehicle we've sold this way. Done very well. I think we should almost make it a standard practice.
Well, I know when the chief came in to see you last week, I had mentioned to him before the meeting that he ought to try this for his Humvee. I don't know what you gentlemen did last week, I left that meeting. So at this point, there's no further discussion. I'll poll the board. Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald? Mr. Whitman? Yes. Mr. Wentworth, yes. Vote in the affirmative, Mr. Roberts, you can go ahead and notify Mike Tibbins.
Thank you very much, sir.
The second item I'd like to report on, if I could ask Ken to stay on the line, is a discussion he wanted to have with you in regards to in the bay, the west side wall repairs and the brick sidewalk repairs.
Roberts, the floor is yours again.
Okay, I've contacted several people. I contacted the fence company that we got numbers for the other side over at Harmony Park, and we've had a long discussion and basically broke it down to lineal footage. So I have a set of numbers. I don't know if you'd like to write them down as we go. It's kind of way up there. The fence is about $50,000. The ready block wall, which has to be 6 feet, and of course that's because 18 inches of it's embedded into the ground there, which will come back to the same height that it is today. That ready block wall is about 810 feet long. It's about $150,000. I brought one contractor over to have a discussion about it. He gave me just a basic estimate because there's so many returns that are in there. I mean, we have the swim dock, a set of staircases, the boat ramp, another set of staircases there at by Victoria Pier, and then the set of staircases that go into the town docks. We're looking at between $250,000 and $300,000. Also, we'd probably end up losing two of the biggest trees we have down there. Conceptual drawing, I've contacted somebody in Meredith, they haven't really got back, but I did talk to the Meredith Highway Public Works Director, and in talking to him, he's had a couple of conceptuals done. They average around $10,000. So that would have to be added into the group. So in looking at this, just the wall alone, I mean, we're way up there. I mean, we're looking $500,000 to $600,000 to have this project done. Suggestion on the wall itself, since we did bid it out and it came back at $80,000, suggestion of the Board of Selectmen with the present money that's in there, which I think is around $15,000, it's only a guess, and to do a warrant of $75,000, and see if we can put it out to bid again and have someone come in and repair the existing wall and then figure out future plans for the town of what we do from there. Only because the wall is in need of repair sooner than later.
And I
So
would
that's-
totally agree with you on that. I would like to see, we have a couple of local masons in town. One mason told me he didn't put in for the job because he was told he didn't have the insurance requirements.
Yeah.
Which I think he does, because I don't believe our plumbers have the insurance requirements either when they're working for us. So there's some local masons between Alton, Gilmanton, New Durham. Even if you ask them to give you a price on doing it the third and the third and the third. Because I myself would like to see that rock wall stay. I do not want to see another block wall. Surprised our insurance company hasn't said something to us by now about have a fence going along there where there's children that play there. Because we had to do that down at the ball field. We had to put a fence around the river because the insurance company wants. So I would like to see us work hard and long on keeping that rock wall that was built by Fred Perkins, who was a selectman.
Ben Perkins.
Ben
Perkins
built it. Actually, one of the gentlemen in town that's a local mason worked on that wall too. I would like to see us keep it the best we can instead of another block wall. Liz had a question or a statement.
I just wanted to let you know that our current insurer, Primex, they offer a program for vendors who cannot get insurance or do not have insurance. It's called the TULIP program. And that gives them coverage, they purchase it, and that can be done through the Selectmen's office.
One of the problem with the insurance was, he works with him, one of them worked with him and his son, but he didn't have for the workman's comp, when he doesn't need to carry it.
I'm not familiar with what happened when that all went down.
Ken, I do appreciate you working on this
Yeah.
indefinitely, because we do have to do something with that wall. Certain areas have really deteriorated badly. So I do appreciate that. Does the board have any questions, Mr. Roberts, Mr. Rochelle?
I just want to add one thing too, that we have to think about in the future as well, is while we're discussing the wall, a fence, if you will, or a railing, is we need to think about ADA compliance at the same time. This is, if it has to be a phased process, we need to think about that as well. So there's going to be a cost factor to that as well, of course.
Mr. Holt?
I think your point of repairing that existing wall, the way it sits, gonna make it look like it does now. I think that is a very important point.
Oh, Mr. Roberts had it to repair the wall, that's the best suggestion, because I was here when the first bids came in, 80,000, there was only 15,000 there. I don't think there's 15 now, but the selectmen never went back out and said, let's put more money into it for the next 5 years, so we get that money put up there and get it done. So I would like to see, even if we have to put it in 3 phases to get it done, exactly so much, and we do another mountain, we do another mountain, also see if there's any federal money out there, because it is to protect the waterfront too.
That's right.
I would hate to see what a DES permit for that would cost to tear into that banking and everything else, so. I'd like to see if we can reach out and get some grants. Because that's how the bay was redone originally down there. We got grants back in the 90s to do the boardwalk, to do the brick walk and everything else. Mr. Robbins, I appreciate your time on that. I'll make notes of it and we'll bring it back up for a little bit further discussion. Is there anything you need from us?
Nope, and we're just gonna talk about the sidewalk real quick, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have 2 choices here. I was gonna address it when we got around budget time, or when we got into CIPs. I mean, we have 2 choices. We can make this thing concrete, reset all the granite, make it a concrete sidewalk just like we have everything else, or no one's ever bid on it. That's the tough thing. Or make it brick again. And if we do that, then we have to address within the budget system the 2 employees, as we discussed earlier, and maybe giving them some direction through what I think the future of Alton will be a public works director, and he'll be able to guide them in the proper process of doing it.
Well, myself, I'd hate to see more concrete walkway, to be honest with you, especially after the townspeople worked so hard in the 90s to put that brick walkway in and leave it that way. I would like to see your department dig up the granite, put down the concrete needed so it doesn't slope over anymore. I know that would take away from your road reconstruction. But also possibly see if you have 2 guys that could relay the brick once the granite was put back in. I understand where you're coming from your point of view as a public works director and 2 more employees putting on. I wouldn't go along with that until I know there was a public works department. I do understand where you're coming from that. Just might not agree with the aspect of it at this time. Gentlemen, you have anything else you want to add to Mr. Roberts?
Yeah, I would hate to see the brickwork replaced by a regular sidewalk.
I think it should, like we had discussed before, if we add 2 people, he could have 2 people repairing that, instead of putting it out to bid every time, and if we have 2 people repairing that,
Well, maybe we
right
cut-
through the summer.
We come back on one road and then we do that, road improvement. But anyways, that's for another discussion. Ken, I'd be more than glad to talk about this more with you later time or individually with the other selectmen at another meeting. Does that sound fine to you? I don't want to drop the ball on this stuff.
Yes, sir.
You ought to drop a warrant article, start putting money aside.
Yes, sir. I agree with you there. For the wall and also for the walkway, if Ken wants to come up and put it out to bid. have it
Well,
over
that,
the
the
right.
walkway's part of the sidewalk, the Bay Sidewalk Fund.
Yes, sir.
Because that was why we put the money in there to begin with, was to fix the brick.
Okay, so we'll bring this back up next month?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Start to go between the highway agent and the town administrator.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robbins, I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Administrator has one more item.
Yes, I do. You asked at the last meeting, well, there was some discussion about whether a public hearing was needed or not on the donation of the 2 crosswalk signs. So you have a copy of an RSA there. And yes, the public hearing is needed for anything over $10,000 that is gifted to the town or donated to the town, if you're going to use it. Or even unanticipated revenue, you have to have a public hearing if you're going to spend it, if it's over $10,000. So the public hearing will be on the 24th this month.
How are we gonna make that work, Mr. Chairman? The phone still?
The phones, that's the only way we can do it. Okay. Josh will have to really kind of moderate it, because he's gonna have to say, I have someone who wants to talk.
And also, the Gilman Museum will be open. John Dever will be there in case there are people at home who do not have a telephone, they can't phone in, or they do not have a computer and they cannot, connect for video.
We can allow more than just 10 in there now, because we have gatherings up to 50.
So why can't we file them in here?
We've got to,
Well, I know we're gonna do the same this week at 6
That
feet,
building
but we
is
should be able to at least get 30 in there, do 6 feet.
Yeah, but what's the difference whether we clean this building or that one?
no, so we've got it all set up.
How many
Bring them in
people-
here, or we can talk to them,
You can only get 9 people in that Gilman Museum
and we
at
can
a
get,
6-foot distance.
how many can we get in here?
I don't know, Virgil, I haven't.
Come on.
6 foot apart.
We can fit 30 in here.
But
People in here.
Wait a minute, guys, one
the
at a time.
emergency management team has said the second floor is closed, and it's closed until they open it up during the state of emergency.
That is true, we can't overrule it.
No, but we can go to them. What's the difference whether you're cleaning the museum or here?
So it's been determined no more than 10 people.
More than 9, yeah. So,
Oh, you
in
make a
answer to
motion
your
to vote them out.
The answer to your question, yes, a public hearing is needed. And it's in the works. It'll be on the 24th.
24th, okay. Folks, we'll have a public hearing on the 24th regarding the donation of crosswalk signs for total cost, because the cost is over $10,000.
And we're gonna set more.
So if we had 2 individuals come forward, one donated at $8,200 and the other donated at $8,200 separately, we wouldn't have that public hearing, would we?
No.
Yeah, we talked about
We
that.
talked about that.
We did talk about that, but
It
it's
didn't matter.
presented together as one
I
project.
understand.
So,
It's a package.
yeah.
That
You want to
doesn't matter.
you want to be transparent and you want to be careful about trying to do things in a manner which
Circumvent
makes-
the RSA.
raise some eyebrows and, yeah.
Post this, are we gonna post it with the information for them to be able to get onto the Zoom? And not have to call a number and do this and that?
So you do have to do that for Zoom. You have to do that. You're gonna call on the phone and listen like a conference call, or you're gonna log in on your computer. Yep. It's just what's going on tonight, same
It's
thing.
the same process.
Yep.
It ain't the same process, because they can't log on to a computer when we got no screen.
No, the computer's right here. And he can see the numbers of people who have called in and those who are watching. Some are watching and some are,
We're just not seeing ourselves on the screen.
right.
Correct.
Very good.
Anything else for about the public hearing on the 24th? If not, the town administrator, have anything else?
I do not.
Okay, moving on to then the approval of minutes for August 3rd, 2020 regular session. Mr. McDonald, I'm gonna let you take over here because you were the chairperson at that time. I was absent, excused absent. I always find that amusing that an elected official has to have an excuse. From the town administrator,
That's
the
what I'm
move.
laughing at.
I'll let you have the floor, sir.
I make a motion, we approve the August 3rd, 2020 minutes.
Second.
Approval of the August 3rd, 2020.
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Virgil, yes.
Mr. Wentworth, abstain.
August 3rd, 2020, non-public.
Make that motion to approve those minutes, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Second.
Seconded by Paul. Motion made by Bob. Liz, you have which ones you would like to keep?
So currently, all 3 subject matters are sealed. And I recommend that all 3 remain sealed.
That gotta be part of the motion.
Nope.
Phil?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes. Virgil, yes.
Mr. Wentworth, abstain.
Turn the floor back to you.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. So next, we're gonna move right over to the consent agenda. We have 2 on the item. New hire for the fire department, EMT paramedic, and the chicken barbecue, annual chicken barbecue fundraiser, night 15, in conjunction with Old Home
Week.
Weekend. The only thing I would say on the barbecue, I'm surprised they come before us, because we're Old Home Week Committee has the charge of that weekend. This should just come underneath the auspice of the Old Home Week Committee, it should not have to come before us. At least that's my feeling.
Fine, Bill.
But do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted?
I make a motion, we approve this consent agenda as read.
Second.
Any discussion? All the board, Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Wentworth, yes. Vote is in the affirmative. This time, gentlemen, there's no discretionary action or request for appointments. There's no non-public session. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Been made to adjourn at, let me put my glasses on here, 6:45. Second by Mr. Holt. Any discussion? All the board, Mr. Yes. Mr. Rochelle?
Yes.
Mr. Holt?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald? Yes. Wentworth, yes. Votes in the affirmative. Thank you, folks, for joining us tonight for our selectmen's meeting. Anytime next week at 6 o'clock.
You beat your version.